Okay, so if I am planning to put my house on the market in 2026, this is what I would do. Stick around for this one if you're thinking about listing your house. That's coming up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt here once again with the Matt Allen Real Estate Team, and we are in November of 2025, going into the last month of the year. The question I am going to answer today is, if I was to decide to put my house on the market in 2026, what would I do to get it sold? That is going to be a pivotal question going into the new year. 2025 obviously didn't work out the way we thought it might. Uh, Interest rates did come down a little bit, but not nearly as much as they needed to do in order to move that needle, get sales moving a lot faster. So there actually is several markets here in Central Florida that are doing okay towards the end of the year. The luxury market is doing pretty well. That's mostly due to the fact that most of the buyers are cash buyers. And then the investor market, the lower end condos, townhomes, that they're using for rental purposes, that seems to be holding steady as well. First and foremost, we are going to make sure the house is ready for sale. This is becoming huge to selling your house successfully. I would highly suggest one, having a pre-inspection done. I know we haven't done those in a long time, but it's worthwhile to have. And then any deferred maintenance that's found in those inspections, get that knocked out, get those things repaired. We want to make sure your roof is still in good condition. Insurance is still going to play a havoc in 2026. So we want to make sure that roof is, let's say, 2012 or newer. So not only is your roof important, but all of your systems need to be looked at. Your HVAC, your plumbing, your electrical panel, all of those things need to be looked at by a professional, inspected, making sure that they still have life left to them. That's the key. You're going to hear me say that over and over again. Make sure there's life left to them and they're in good condition. If your AC has not been cleaned thoroughly, if your vents have not been cleaned, get those done. It's really not a huge expense. And it's the first thing that comes up in probably the last several inspections I've had is dirty ACs, dirty vents, things like that. So what else am I doing when I'm getting ready to sell my house? I think it's going to be really important next year is to have a list of all the improvements I have done throughout the time I've owned the house, but more of the recent improvements. Have I updated kitchens, bathrooms? Have I put in new flooring, new paint, whatever it might be? Maybe it is a new roof. All that stuff needs to be documented so that we can use it in the marketing remarks. People are looking for houses they don't have to do much to. If it becomes a project house, not only that they may not have interest in making an offer, but that offer, if they do, is going to be significantly lower than if you had taken care of those things ahead of time. Clean, clean, clean. I can't say this enough, you guys. You got to make sure your house is clean, smells good, looks good. The counters don't have a lot of, for lack of a better term, and I don't like this term, but clutter. Making sure the house has a reasonable amount of depersonalization to it. In other words, your stairwell doesn't have 85 pictures of your family from the time you were born until you're 55 years old. And we want to make sure anything like a carpet, tile, anything that may be worn out needs to be cleaned or replaced. Tile needs to be professionally cleaned and even sealed if you want to take that extra step. If carpet is looking old and you've got those wear spaces that go through, you all know what I'm talking about. Time to replace that carpet. Carpet is not a huge expense. You could replace it with luxury vinyl plank. That's becoming very popular these days and is pretty reasonable on pricing as well. Clean, make sure it's presentable, and we are going to sell that house, I promise you. All right, now we're going to shift gears to the exterior of the home. And as you know, you get one shot on somebody driving up to the front of your house and that curb appeal hits them right in the face. We want to make sure you're ready for that. any painting that needs to be done, pressure washing, get that driveway nice and clean, seal it if you want to take that extra step, pull out the mulch, start planting those plants. Unless you're in a wintertime situation, these type of things are absolutely necessary. You want to make sure your pool is clean. If you have a pool, that's clean. All your pool equipment is running and not leaking. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a house and I see the pool equipment dripping and it sets off a buyer. Well, if that's dripping, what else is going on with this house? We're trying to eliminate that. So, any of that type of stuff, make sure your fencing is in good shape. It's been washed, especially if you have white vinyl fencing right about this time of year. You start getting a greenish on it. So make sure that's professionally cleaned. All right. So I think you get the picture on what I mean by getting your house ready. Let's talk about the other things that need to be done. You need to do a full market analysis in the house. You can use a real estate professional for that. You can order an outside appraisal. Please, please, please don't use some of the automated systems online where you type in your address and it pops out a number. Not effective, especially if you're in a community such as a luxury community where houses are custom. It's not going to give you an accurate value. Big thing with this though, look at solds. Everybody's looking at actives. Some people are looking at pendings, but not a lot of people are looking at solds. When you look at solds, look at the last 90 days. We want them to be like kind property, something similar in square footage. Don't compare a 2,000 square foot house with a 5,000 square foot house. Make sure you are looking at those solds. Those are going to give you a good idea of what the dollar figures are. I know some people love to go right to price per square foot. Not always the most accurate thing. What we want to look at is what are these houses selling for that is similar square footage, similar in upgrades. You get the picture. So we want to get a good market analysis. Once we have that, and we know we've got a price we're going to go with that's going to draw attention, we're going to start our pre-marketing. And depending on the market you're in, I know here in Central Florida, we have to be very careful on the pre-marketing. The second you start marketing a property, the house has to go on the MLS within 24 hours. So we have to be careful of that. If you are in a market where this isn't the case, pre-market a week in advance. Let people gather that excitement, making sure they're ready to go once that house hits the market. If you can pre-show it, go for it. Professional photos. Make sure you tell the homeowner, like if it was me, which we're talking about, if it's my house, I am going to let the world know on social media that my house is coming on the market soon. One of the challenges that I'm seeing right now in the current market is availability to show property. I know it is a hassle to be able to show your house. You've got to clean, you've got to vacuum, you've got to get the house back to a state that you look like you don't live in the house. I get it. But at the same time, being very picky about when to show your house is going to put buyers and buyers agents more often than not off. So they're not going to want to come back and look at the house. So try to make your house available. Remember, this is the most important sale you're ever going to have. So, it's going to invest some time, some energy to really get that house ready to go. Now, when that showing is scheduled, I'm going to be ready for it. I'm going to have my house clean. I'm going to have a good smelling house. I'm going to have the carpets vacuumed if I had carpets. I'm going to have that house show ready. All the lights are going to be on. I'm going to even have drinks on the counter for the buyer and the buyer's agent in case they're thirsty. Water, sodas, whatever they want. I'm going to even probably take that extra step and put a couple of cookies in the oven just to give that housewarming smell to it. You really need to take those extra steps in 2026. I know it sounds trivial, but somebody's going to have that good feeling about the house. Remember that house that had the chocolate chip cookies and the drinks for us? Really like that kitchen. Obviously, a good functioning kitchen. Those are the type of feedback you want. You want something to stick in the buyer's head that this house could work for me. So make sure you take those extra steps. Get that house prepared. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the negotiation and contract process. However, make sure you have some flexibility and are able to negotiate. Right now, we're seeing buyers that are offering much lower asking prices than in the past. Not sure what the psychology of that is, other than that's what's typically happening. They're coming in significantly lower than they were, say, a year ago. I think it's because they feel that they can negotiate a little more. So make sure you have some flexibility. Ultimately, you want to come to the meeting of the mind. So don't feel like you're leaving something on the table, or you're getting, the bad end of the deal. You never want to feel like that, but make sure you have some flexibility. That's how I would get my house ready for the market in 2026. If you have questions or you have some ideas of what you would do, drop them down below. I would love to keep gathering those ideas, and I'll post them. I appreciate your time. You guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.